Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, May 22nd. Ian Cameron with you. We'll have Alex B. Smith along in just a moment, ready to break down Game 2 of the Western Conference Final tonight between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Vegas up 1-0 in the series. Colorado looking to even it up tonight. We'll get to that in just a moment. We want to thank everybody who joined us and or tuned in to the Patreon-exclusive live betcast last night during Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. It was a pretty wild game when it was all said and done. Certainly a crazy first period, which we will address in just a moment. But thanks to everyone that joined us. We will have another Patreon-exclusive live betcast next week for one of the games during the Western Conference Final. So it'll be Tuesday or Thursday. We haven't decided which day yet, but it'll be Tuesday or Thursday next week, our next betcast. Leaning toward Thursday because I assume that series is going to go at least 5 games. Game 5 would be next Thursday. But nevertheless, that is the plan. A betcast next week for the Vegas-Colorado series for our Patreon members. So stay tuned for the exact date for that. Last night, I feel like I should do this. Take a bow because we certainly pegged that game pretty well last night. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final between Montreal and Carolina. I don't know if I could have expressed my enthusiasm more than I did on yesterday's show for Montreal scoring in the first period. Now, I didn't have Montreal scoring 4 goals in the first period necessarily on my bingo card, but I certainly thought they could take advantage of Carolina hitting the ice for a Stanley Cup playoff game for the first time in 12 days. That in that first 20 minutes, they would, be a little bit vulnerable. Now, the counter argument to that is Carolina scored the first goal 27 seconds into the game, Seth Jarvis. So if rust was such a big deal, why the hell did they score the first goal and have that great first shift, that led to the 1-0 goal? But, it was the first shift of the game. They had the puck. They got a quick shot, fooled Dobish. It was a great shot by Jarvis, and it was 1-0. And it looked at least at the very beginning that maybe the layoff wouldn't be a big deal, but after that, you could clearly see Carolina doing shit that you were just not used to seeing them do, when they're on top of their game. And that was clearly evident yesterday as far as that game. I mean, it started with obviously the breakdown on the Cole Caulfield goal that tied it up 1 minute in. What the hell are 2 defensemen doing behind the net? And that was just a prelude to just one of the all-time worst performances in a big-time playoff game that you'll ever see from one of the league's elite shutdown defenseman in Jacob Slavin. I couldn't believe what I was watching from him last night. Him and Chatfield both go behind the net to defend the same person, and all alone is Caulfield in front to make it 1-1. The amount of odd man rushes and the amount of just breakaways that the Carolina Hurricanes allowed in the first period, it was astonishing. And I know obviously, being off probably played some role in it. But my goodness, Montreal was just killing them with odd man rushes and breakaways. And certainly we saw it on the second goal that went in courtesy of Philip Deneau. Breakaway, gets behind the entire Carolina defense. We saw loss of coverage, turnovers leading to the Texier goal that made it 3-1. Another bad shift for Slavin, who ended up -4 last night, by the way. Just almost unheard of, for Jacob Slavin to be that poor defensively in one game, but we saw that last night. And then, of course, at the fourth goal, when it was 3-1, because at 3-1, you felt if Carolina gets the next goal, they're very much in the game, can still win it. The fourth goal really did hurt, and it was obviously the goal by Ivan Demidov to cash our bargain bin special at plus 380. I've watched the replay of the Montreal fourth goal from Demidov multiple times now. And all I have to say is, what the hell was K'Andre Miller thinking in that? And even Eddie Olczyk was exasperated about it. You had Walker taking care of the man in the neutral zone there. Your job is to stay back and take care of Demidov there. What was he doing? Moving over to the sideboards, helping Walker. He didn't need help. That was just a terrible read, awful read. And we like Keandre Miller. I know, Alex, I vouch for him when I say that we like Keandre Miller. That was awful decision making there. You can't do that. Walker's got the guy sealed along the boards. You've got to stay close to Demidov, and he didn't. He, went to where Walker was, and nobody had Demidov, and behind he goes, stuffing it in past Freddie Anderson for the 4-1 goal. Eric Robinson, credit to our guy Robert in the chat. He said Robinson due to score a goal after all the chances. Cuts it to 4-2. You maybe think Carolina's back in the game, has a chance, but and they had chances. I thought the second period looked a lot more like Carolina after all the defensive blunders, all the mistakes. And they looked a lot more like the Hurricanes, but they were unable to capitalize on the chances they had. And a lot of blocked shots, 31 blocked shots last night by the Montreal Canadiens. Incredible job. They had pressure. They had offensive zone time. Half the shots weren't getting to Dobish in that second period. And then it stayed 4-2, and 4-2 was extremely depressing for Carolina because it looked like the second period was a step forward after a brutal first period, and then the third period was another step back. They didn't get any shots. They really had trouble generating much, and of course, it was Uri Slafkovsky getting the fifth goal to put it away, make it 5-2, and then he'd get the sixth goal into the empty net as well. And on the Uri Slafkovsky goal that made it 5-2, Alex, we were all over this. Everyone on the betcast was all over this goal. I know Andrei Svechnikov is known for scoring, right? He's not known necessarily. Defensive play away from the puck's not his strong suit. He can do it, but it's not his strong suit. But that's hockey 101 when you're defending one-on-one like that. Don't be fishing for the puck. I fucking hate that. It is a pet peeve. I despise that nonsense when I see that. Stop fishing for the puck with your stick. And it got Svechnikov in trouble on that Uri Slafkovsky goal where he made that swagger move right around him and then put it in past Anderson. This hockey. It's not fishing. Go out on the lake if you want to fish. You're not doing it here on the ice surface in the NHL. That's unacceptable. Take the body. Take the man. Don't play the puck. Don't fish with your stick for the puck. Take the man. Take the body. Lay the fuck out of somebody. That's what you do in that situation if you're Andrei Svechnikov on Slafkovsky. He didn't do it. He went for a little fishing expedition. Thought he was going to reel someone in on that play. And instead, Slafkovsky makes him look silly, goes around him, and makes it 5-2 for the Montreal Canadiens there with basically the dagger goal in the third period. So terrible performance from Carolina. It's hard to gauge how much of it was Montreal making them play that way and how much was the layoff a part of it. What I will say for Carolina, too, is I'm concerned about Rod Brind'Amour a little bit. He was talking post-game, Alex. I heard it. We weren't ready for the pace. You had fucking 2 weeks to get ready for, either Montreal or Buffalo. I heard him on he couldn't get enough, Rod Brind'Amour, of doing interviews last week. He's on every fucking show. Dan Patrick, Mad Dog Radio, Known to Man last week, Sirius XM, ESPN, Pat McAfee show. I'm seeing Rod Brind'Amour's face all over the place during the layoff, the break between the Philly series and this one, talking about how we're already preparing for both teams. We got our guys working on Buffalo, working on Montreal. Well, how the hell do you not know the pace is going to go up then when you play Montreal? How do you not know that when you've had all this time to prepare? And I credit Marty Marty St. Louis got the better of him last night. They killed Carolina, Alex, on the stretch pass. The stretch pass. They know Carolina's aggressive. They pinch down because their philosophy is we keep pucks in the offensive zone. We stay in the offensive zone because our defense are going to keep plays alive by being aggressive. And then all of a sudden, Montreal says, well, you want to be aggressive? We're going to stretch past the fuck out of you and lead to odd man rushes and breakaways. And that's exactly what we saw last night from Montreal. That's an incredible coaching job by Marty St. Louis last night. And by the way, how much time did he have to get ready for Carolina for this series? What, 48 hours?
Yep.
72 at most? How much time did Rod Brind'Amour have to get ready for Montreal? A couple weeks. This is a coaching thing, too. You got to step up. Are you going to keep playing man-to-man? They're 4-0 this year against Carolina, Montreal. They haven't lost to Carolina. The man-to-man structure that Brind'Amour swears by is getting carved up by this team. Do you have the guts to maybe change your style tactically going into game 2, or are you just going to say, well, no, this is our game. This is what we do, and because this is what we do, we're going to do what we do. regardless of who the opponent is, regardless of the style of play. This is not just a gut check time now for Carolina, who are an ungodly 1-17 in their last 18 conference finals games, if you could believe that. Somehow they've lost 10 straight conference finals games at home in Raleigh. This is incredible. Alex, I'll throw it to you. You talk about a gut check. Coach all the way down the lineup, and goalie, Freddie Anderson, by the way. He's melted like a fucking snowman in the summer heat in this round of the playoffs before. This is a gut check for everybody, Alex, wearing that Canes jersey.
Absolutely. And everybody wants to say, well, you can't tie trends together for different years in the playoffs because it's a different situation, completely different team. But when you look at this Carolina team now, just let's throw out 2009 and 2017. Let's just go to the last 2 years and 60 minutes of conference final play for Carolina. And like you said, there's a lot of constants there. A lot of the same core players, the same goaltender, and most notably the same coach that's been around. And you weren't ready for Florida in 2 straight years. And now here you are after 12 days saying that you weren't prepared for the pace of the Montreal Canadiens. So now there's a problem. And the problem is it starts with Brind'Amour and it trickles down to those core players who all should have been ready for this game. And you got the jump that you needed on top of it by scoring first. Having that crowd behind you, you had everything rocking and rolling in the first 30 seconds of this contest. And then the balloon, like I said, it didn't deflate. It absolutely burst wide open in front of everybody. And Montreal was able to take their Game 7 momentum, roll that along, but also, like you said, just play a good game and have Martin St. Louis, out-coach Brind'Amour at times and make the right changes. And like you said, and you didn't have guys scuffling off defensively for the Habs. Dobish with a solid game, making some good saves. It's just, this is a problem now for Carolina. And we talked about it for years and years when Toronto's in the first round. We talked about it all this year and all the previous years when Minnesota's in their first round. They have roles, even go all the way back before Colorado won the cup. What was the whole thing? They couldn't get out of the second round. Certain teams have certain trouble in certain rounds. And we can now definitely say, doesn't mean that this series is over, but we can say that Carolina has a problem playing in Eastern Conference Finals. We have enough data to say that, going all the way back to 2009.
Right.
So they've got to figure it out, and they have to figure it out big in Game 2. And I said it on the betcast. They have to blow out Montreal in Game 2 the way they were blown out in Game 1. This can't be a skate by game. This can't be a go to double overtime and have to expend a bunch of energy.
Eat one out. Yeah.
Yeah, because all the momentum right now is with the Habs.
No doubt. I mean, that's I'm not, at the panic stage yet for Carolina, but I'm at the concern stage, for Carolina. How can you not be? Because there was a bad game last night. Your absolute pillar of strength, shut down defenseman, was absolutely fucking god awful last night. I almost shocked. That's probably the stunning part of it. Jacob Slavin, I actually saw that from Jacob Slavin last night. Losing coverage, going behind the net when he shouldn't be. Hockey 101, you don't go behind the net and leave someone wide open, a la the Caulfield goal that tied it 1-1 in the first minute. Losing coverage on Texier in front of the net. And there was a wide open net that Montreal missed early in the first period too, and that was Slavin's man, and he let him get behind him. I mean, it was a brutal night for him. I almost couldn't believe what I was watching, just like Rod Brind'Amour said when talking to Jackie from TNT during the interview last night. I almost don't know what the hell I was watching from this team. But all of a sudden, if they can bounce back and win Game 2, still a big if, given the 1-17 record that they've got in the conference finals. All of a sudden, it's a 1-1 series if they bounce back, and they go to Montreal for Game 3 and Game 4. Oh, and by the way, let me remind people, Montreal's not been a pillar of strength on home ice this year in the playoffs at the Bell Center. They have not. So all of a sudden, if Carolina, Alex, bounces back tomorrow night, they're really in the driver's seat again. 1-1 going to Montreal, where Montreal has struggled to win games on home ice here in the playoffs. But if they go down 2-0, and even though they're not completely out of it down 2-0, and yes, Montreal has struggled at home, it's not so much that they can't go to Montreal and win on the road with Montreal's home struggles. It's that the fucking narrative is just going to ratchet up even more if they lose game 2 tomorrow night and go down 2-0. You can't win in the conference finals. You can't get over the hump. You're now 1-18 in a conference final series in your last 19. You've now lost 11 straight home games in a conference finals. That's the stuff that gnaws away at your confidence mentally, and that's a block you don't want any part of if you're Carolina.
And that would give the Habs the momentum they potentially need with their home struggles to play well. You know, like I said, if it's a 1-1 series, then okay, then now Montreal's got to get over their hurdles. But it makes it a lot easier if you're up 2-0 being in that spot and trying to figure out how to close things out at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just going back to look at Montreal here in these playoffs. Now, they haven't always been great putting wins together. They've been a win one, lose one, win one, lose one type of team a lot during the playoffs. They did have a 2-game win streak, game 2 and game 3 against Buffalo. They never once won back-to-back games against Tampa Bay in the first round. They won game 2 and game 3 back-to-back against Buffalo. And obviously just now they've won back-to-back games because they won game 7 in Buffalo. And then, of course, they won game 1 last night. So there you go. They've won twice back-to-back in the playoffs this year.
Mike Bemin has a comment in the chat, and he says, if they lose the conference finals, there's serious discussion about getting rid of Rod. I said it last night. If you lose 4-0, you lose 4-1, you got to get rid of Rod.
Right.
It's got, especially after the comments now after game 1. If you get swept here or you lose in 5, he's got to go.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of success, a lot of regular season winning and a lot of first, second round wins, but I think you're at the stage now where, and you have to gauge coaching firings differently. Like if there's a guy that just is, the team stinks for 2-3 years in a row, you got to get rid of him. But even after a long stretch of winning, there's been coaching changes made tons of times before. NFL, NBA, NHL, you name it. When you just keep missing and not being able to get over that last hurdle, you know, and that next step, that next progression, which for Carolina is Stanley Cup final. Not enough. I don't want to hear it. It's a great season. I don't want to hear that nonsense if they lose this series. I'm not interested. Nobody is. No Kane fan is going to want to hear, well, though it was still a pretty great, good season, great season. No, this is an epic disaster. This is a failed season if they do not beat the Montreal Canadiens. Period. That's it. Nothing else to say. That's all there is to it.
You know what parallel I see? I see Rod Brind'Amour being the John Harbaugh of the NHL. There's a lot of Baltimore Ravens comparison. If you want to go cross sport with Carolina.
Yeah, a little bit of that. John Harbaugh, right? And John Harbaugh got canned. You know, winning season after winning season, playoff year after playoff year. But why was his ass out on the street after this year's? Because too many playoff losses, not getting to that final step again. There's been a lot. Sean McDermott, same thing. Buffalo Bills in that sport. There's no question. Pete DeBoer. Matty Robb, good to see him. It's been a while since we've seen Matt in the chat. Hope he's doing well. But Matt's right. I mean, Pete DeBoer had a ton of years of success with the Dallas Stars, year after year in the playoffs, year after year in the conference finals. That didn't stop Dallas from firing him, last year after the conference. Now, look, there was the Ottinger controversy. That played a big part in it. Still, he couldn't get over the hump, and they still fired him. Why can't that happen to Rod if they lose this series?
You mentioned a guy in DeBoer who's one of the best in Game 7s. How about one of the guys who's one of the worst in Game 7s and also had great regular season runs but couldn't close it out when he needed to? Bruce Boudreau. Yeah, another name.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling they could go down that road. And keep in mind, one thing, too, about this situation, we're not saying he's going to be fired, but I'm saying there's a possibility, and I wouldn't be shocked by it if they lose this series. Keep in mind, the GM is Eric Tulsky now, and he's only been the GM since 2024, which means that makes Rod Brind'Amour an inherited coach.
Right.
Okay? An inherited coach. And there may be less loyalty shown by Eric Tulsky, and this would give him that open door to bring in the guy he wants the most as his head coach. If this happens, again, there's a long way to go. I know Carolina will be a lot better in Game 2. No question about it. They will. And by the way, there's no goalie controversy. I bashed Freddie Anderson a lot. in the regular season. Rightfully so. He deserved to be bashed. He was terrible for much of the regular season. But there's no chance in hell you are making a goalie change for game 2. You're going back to Freddie Anderson. He's been good he was terrific in the first 2 rounds, and you can't blame Freddie on many of those. What's he going to do with the Cole Caulfield goal? Nothing. And he roofed it. The second goal, Philip Deneau breakaway. Those are tough to stop. You'd like a save in those breakaway situations, but they're not easy. I give the goalies a little bit of a pass on the breakaways. They're not easy. The third goal was another breakdown. Quick shot by Texie. I think he was a little slow to react there. That's the one where I'd say, Freddie, wouldn't mind a save on the third goal. The fourth goal by Demidov, again, a breakaway. You give up those, it's hard to totally blame the goalie. And then the fifth goal was, Svechnikov on a fishing expedition more than anything Freddie Anderson did. So, like I said, I don't blame too many of those goals, Alex, on Frederik Andersen last night. And he's been great enough in the first 2 rounds. And there's no chance you put Brandon Bussey in. None. Zero. There's no way Brandon Bussey's going in game 2. So it's going to be Freddie Andersen. Now, if he loses game 2 and there's a questionable goal or two, Alex, that goes in on him, then maybe the conversation opens a little bit more to game 3 about Bussey coming in.
Yeah.
But no, it's got to be Andersen in game 2. No question.
Yeah, this isn't an Anderson issue. This is a defensive front of him issue. This is just a whole collective team issue, if anything. And like I said, for as much as he was to blame during any blemishes during the regular season, he's been nothing but spectacular so far this postseason. So it's not on him.
No doubt. And by the way, our good friend David, some apartment moving today. He's not with us today. He said he'd be joining us tomorrow, though, Saturday at noon. And by the way, that's going to be our only weekend show. And I'm sure he'll have some things to say about his Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow. That is for sure. I'd be fascinated to hear what he's thinking about them after that game. But no question, like I said, with Carolina, that's a big game suddenly for them tomorrow night in game 2. And by the way, yes, indeed. If you didn't join us on the Betcast last night, if you did, you already know this. But if you didn't, yes, Alex has a nice new headset now that he's using. And someone in the chat commented, that sounds is crispy. I forget. It was way back in the YouTube chat. That sound is so. Apparently, people are giving the thumbs up for the new sounding Alex B. Smith on the new headset. And I agree, you do sound a lot better.
Good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that's sounding good. So.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what the Avs fans will be glad about? Glad to hear, glad to see a win tonight to try to tie up this series here in the Western Conference Final. So we'll dive into Game 2 tonight. Western Conference Final. It is the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Vegas up 1-0 after a 4-2 victory in Game 1. And Colorado looking to bounce back and even up the series here tonight. Right now, we've got Colorado minus 160. Looks like the price as home favorites here in this game. The total sitting at 6 pretty much across the board. And as mentioned, it is a 1-0 series lead for the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's start with the big news. Let's get it out of the way. Cale Makar. If I hear the name mentioned again, it'll be too soon. He's out. He's not back tonight. He will miss Game 2 for the Colorado Avalanche here tonight. And look, it's, we saw it in Game 1. It's a tough loss. It's a tough pill to swallow. You got to somehow overcome it. And it certainly hasn't been easy for the Colorado Avalanche to win. I mean, Jonathan Davis was telling us in our group chat that they haven't won a playoff game without Cale Makar. Is that all time? If that is, that is concerning to see that without question. And there was some talk about Mark Stone being on the ice this morning. He is not back either. So really there's no changes either way. Cale Makar is still out for Colorado, and Mark Stone, he is getting closer to returning. You can tell. Maybe Game 3 when the series shifts back to T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. But Mark Stone will not be in here tonight for this one. Colorado without Cale Makar is a concern. But this is a team that's been pretty damn good all year at home. This is a Vegas team that is 0-2 in Game 2s here in the playoffs. And both of the Game 2 losses for Vegas versus Utah and versus Anaheim in the first 2 rounds, both of them came after a Game 1 win. So where is the evidence of the Vegas Golden Knights stepping up and having a 2-0 series lead? We haven't seen it yet. They have not had that, put their foot on the throat of somebody and go up 2-0. Both of their first 2-round series were 1-1 splits going to the other venue for Game 3. So keep that in mind. Vegas hasn't been able to go up 2-0 yet in a series. We've got Colorado on a 6-0 run off a loss, and that dates back to the regular season. It's not quite the 11-0 run that we're seeing from Montreal off a loss, but it's still 6-0, 6 straight games off that they have won following a defeat, and they have not lost 2 in a row since March 18th. So this is a Colorado team we trust in these situations. They only lost 1 previous game here in the Stanley Cup playoffs before Game 1 against Vegas, and that was Game 3 in Minnesota against the Wild. What happened next game? They bounced back. They dominated the game. That game was only close because I thought Volstead in that game was tremendous for Minnesota. It's really, I think the shots were 38-16 or something like that. Colorado just was completely controlling the flow. Game 4 in Minnesota, after they lost Game 3, they ended up winning 5-2 in that game. So there's a really good track record here both ways where you have Vegas. They haven't always put their foot on the throat of their playoff opponent. They have yet to go up 2-0 in a series, and Colorado on this great run off a loss. Yes, there are concerns about not having Makar because you saw the effect. Malinsky wasn't really up to the task, missing the net, getting his shots blocked. And Taves, is a good defenseman, but doesn't always give you, because Makar plays in every situation and he blocks shots, power play, penalty kill, great at 5-on-5, great at moving the puck. And it just feels like execution offensively does suffer a little bit for Colorado without Cale Makar. That being said, it looks like there's going to be some line changes tonight a little bit for Colorado because I see Arturi Lehkonen, Nathan McKinnon, and Gabe Landeskog, who have played together before, now looking like that's going to be the top line for the Avs. Big Val Nichushkin, Brock Nelson, Marty Necas, the second line. It looks like Ross Colton, Nazem Kadri, Nicholas Waugh going to be the third line for Colorado. And then it looks like Parker Kelly, Jack Drury, and Logan O'Connor, the fourth line, stays the same. The blue line pairs, Taves and Malinsky, Kulak and Burns, Josh Manson and our guy, Jekashan, record body, Jekashan. Yeah, he's back in as well for the Colorado Avalanche as well. I'm just buying into Colorado bouncing back. I am. I just think they're going to be determined. They're not going to be deterred. They're going to ramp it up tonight. I know there's some evidence of them struggling to win playoff games without Makar, but I'm going to buy into Colorado tonight. What I'm going to do is, I don't do this very often, my regulation money prices, regulation bets, but what we did is a split for the full game. You can get Colorado in regulation in this game at let me just see what the current. Yeah, it was around even money, minus 115. Yeah, plus 100 in some spots. Actually, you'll get a better price now because we have seen some movement toward Vegas based on obviously the news of Cale Makar being ruled out again. But yeah, I'm going to go with Colorado in regulation, minus 110, minus 115, split with team total over 3.5. If Carter Hart's great again, phenomenal in net, keeps Colorado at bay. They don't get to 4 goals. They don't win this game, Colorado. I'll just tip my cap and say, well done. Great job. Not really going to get that upset or frustrated, and he's capable of it. He's playing great. Then the recipe for Vegas is very simple. Be opportunistic. When you have a power play, cash in on it. Try to be steady defensively and rely on Carter Hart, who was absolutely tremendous. And look, Wedgwood wasn't I don't think Wedgwood was bad in game 1, but he was outplayed a little bit in net by Carter Hart. So he's got to step his game up a little bit. So I'm going to do an Avalanche in regulation, team total over 3.5 split. I'm going to do an over by Fecta here too. I think, we did have a chance to see game 1. Game 1 started slow, but when Colorado's off a loss at home, how many times have we talked about this throughout the season with the goal in the first 5 minutes, goal in the first 10 minutes, and early in the game they're pushing pace, and there's often a little bit of a flurry of offense in the first period. So we'll go with the first period over, smaller on the full game over, a little heavier on the first period over here. And I'm also going to go with, and it's funny, I bet this even before our guy in our chat, Mikey, mentioned it. I couldn't believe I was shocked because I'm like, holy shit, Mikey, you just talked about the bet I made. And I think it's a great bet. And I think it's a bet to consider if you like Carolina to bounce back tomorrow night in game 2 as well. At FanDuel, you can take Colorado goal in the first period and parlay it with Colorado money line. I think that makes a lot of sense. You can get Colorado goal in the first period, parlay it with Colorado money line. And that is definitely around minus 106 is the price on that. That's really good because the Colorado to score in the first period, I think by itself is minus 190 right now. So you parlay that Colorado goal in the first period with Colorado money line. I'm going to do that as well at minus 106. And I think I might even do something similar with Carolina tomorrow night, where it's Carolina goal in the first period, Carolina money line parlay. And it'll probably be around that same price. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And just a small little taste of Colorado first goal, first period tonight as well. That's the smallest bet of them all. So that's what we got here for sides and totals here in game two. Alex, what do you think for game two, Vegas, Colorado?
Yeah, we're kind of in lockstep. There's a lot of plays that I like. Like I said, first goal, first period, took a little sprinkle of that, plus 110. Colorado in regulation, I got that at even money. And, I like the first period over. I'm going to wait for that in game because it's so cheap. I'm seeing as low as $1.20 at FanDuel. So hopefully try to get that crossing over the plus money territory. And it's funny, MGM has this available. Usually it's only for the elimination games. But I'm taking a shot with empty net goal, yes, plus $1.10. Colorado to score empty net goal, plus 175. I think this could be one where they, jump out and get a lead and be able to, put this game away safely and win by margin. So that's the way I'm kind of attacking with that. So regulation money line, go first goal, first period, and an empty net goal for Colorado with an empty net goal by anybody in the game. Those are some plays that I have. Of course, bargain bid coming up later.
That's a good one too, Rich. That's really good stuff there by him. Well done. That's a nice little combo too. Goal in the first 10 minutes, and you can parlay that with first period goal for Colorado. Yeah, that's plus that's good too. That's another nice one. I might even bet that myself, Rich. Well done on that. That wasn't on my card, but that might be another way to go about it. But I really think they get on the board in the first 20 minutes. I'd be very surprised if they don't. But yeah, the one I like, and I bet I just want to repeat it. It's Colorado goal in the first period, Colorado money line parlay, minus 106 at FanDuel. Actually, you probably get a better price on it now, Alex, because the price, there's been money on Vegas since the McCarthy.
It should be adjusted, yeah.
So I think you probably get a little bit of a better price on that now. So, like I said, I still think that's a very solid approach. Shame on Colorado. Like if we're at the point now, and as great as he is, Cale Makar, that we just can't rally the troops at home to avoid a 2-0 deficit without him, then maybe they're just not as good as we thought they were, if that's the case. This is their spot. This to me feels very similar, and I don't want to compare it to the NBA, but there was no way I was not going to take the Thunder, Oklahoma City, game 2 against San Antonio. They lost game 1 at home. I said, they're not going down 2-0 at home. They're the Oklahoma fucking City Thunder, all right? They're the defending champs. They've been the best team in the NBA regular season all year. And that's how I feel about Colorado now. I don't give two shits now about Makar. This is about this team. And if they're worth their salt, this Colorado team, they will not go down 2-0 at home to this Vegas team. They will not. And they've been the best team all year in the regular season, this Colorado team. And like I said, I love the Thunder in game 2 against the Spurs in this very similar situation that I am liking Colorado in here tonight in game 2 of this series. Good stuff. As far as props, by the way, for this game, shots on goal, yes, as frustrating as they are, and they are, trust me, very frustrating they can be. There's a lot of good ones tonight, assuming we don't get robbed, we don't get jobbed by the shots on goal merchants and the counter. If you will. But we have Pavel Dorofeyev, who's been Scorofeyev for Vegas. 4 straight games, he's gone over 2.5 shots on goal. We'll take a shot with that. Big Val Nichushkin. Maybe that's a sign that he scored in game 1, Alex, that he's going to come to life. But he's gone over 1.5 shots now in 3 straight games. Ross Colton, who I like for a goal prop too tonight, not just his shots on goal prop. Same thing with Big Val Nichushkin because they're shooting the puck now. Ross Colton has gone over 1.5 shots in 3 straight games for the Avs. And you're looking at even money for over 1.5 shots for him tonight. That's worth a look. Gabe Landeskog, back-to-back games, over 2.5 shots on goal at even money. Brett Howden, our guy, who is again going to be a goal prop bet for me tonight for Vegas. How can it not be? Brett Howden over 1.5 shots on goal in back-to-back games for the Vegas Golden Knights. Marty moving to the country, gonna meet me, Marty Necas. Marty Necas for Colorado, over 2.5 shots in back-to-back games. Nazem Kadri, he's not on a consecutive game shots on goal streak, but he did go over 2.5 shots on goal in game 1, and he has gone over 2.5 shots on goal in 4 of the last 5 playoff games for Colorado. So Naz Kadri, another shots on goal prop to look at. As far as goal props, yeah, Dorofeyev for sure, 4-game goal scoring streak. Brett Howden for sure, 2-game goal scoring streak. Goals in 4 of the last 5, 8 of the last 10 for Vegas. So Brett Howden's a no-brainer once again. Landeskog, I think Lehkonen at plus 340 because he's moving up tonight with McKinnon and Landeskog on the top line. So Arturi Lehkonen, I think, could be a night for him to find the back of the net for Colorado in this game. So that's a goal prop I'm interested in here tonight just because of that extra value. I mentioned Colton with the way he's shooting the puck down on that third line. A lot of people like Nelson to finally get going, but the thing is with Brock Nelson, I almost feel like I want to see the puck go in first for him before I back him to score because it's been the wells run dry for him. You know, he's only got 2 goals here in the playoffs, and it's kind of been disappointing because of how well he played in the regular season. But he was getting a lot of chances, Robert. We talked about that with Eric Robinson for Carolina. You know, eventually you got to think something's going to go in for you. Maybe we're at that point with Brock Nelson where you just say, you know what, he's due to get one with all the opportunities and all the looks he's getting. So I don't mind that at all if you subscribe to that theory. And then what else here? Oh, I want to point out a couple guys on 3-game assist streaks. If you like the assist props, Hurdle and Anderson for Vegas. 3-game assist streaks, and their assist prop is over plus 200 for both of them. And they've had assists in 3 straight games. Tomas Hurdle, Rasmus Anderson. Keep that in mind. Point props. Dorofeyev, 5-game point streak. Hurdle, 4-game point streak. Anderson for Vegas, 3-game point streak. Howden and Taves, 2-game point streaks. So those are the teams riding the point streaks going into tonight. And I think this is a Carter Hart saves night too, for sure. Carter Hart over 28.5 saves. He went over that saves number in game 1. And in a game where I don't think Colorado was even at their best as far as pressure. Tonight, I think they just unload the clip, if you will, on this Vegas team, trying to avoid a 2-0 deficit as far as shots. So Carter Hart over saves definitely makes sense for me here tonight. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Yeah, Marner over 1.5 points. I mean, he's been in on so much of the offense for Vegas at that price. It's, you know, I wouldn't talk anyone out of it. You know, I think it's a night where Colorado is going to work overtime to try to contain him a little bit, but easier said than done, you know, with the type of playoffs Mitch Marner has had. But we appreciate all of you tuning in. Hit the like button. Check out wizardsportspicks.com, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, MLB on a daily basis. Lots of YouTube content now on the channel. Number 1 ranked in the NHL, profitable in the NBA as well. CFL starting in a couple weeks as well. So make sure you check out the website, wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And our off-season content plan for our Patreon members that stay members and subscribed during the NHL offseason. That will go into effect starting June 1st, where we're going to start posting a daily betting card on the days there is no NHL hockey. You know, you'll get plays from me in baseball, CFL, you name it, the other sports. Alex, when he's got a UFC or a boxing opinion throughout the summer months. Yeah, we'll post that as well on the Patreon page. So $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. We'll also have a Western Conference Final live betcast next week for our Patreon members, so get ready for that. $10 per month. Get on board over at patreon.com/Ice Guys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Summer's right here, basically. It's getting nice and warm here for Memorial Day. It's a good time, you know, grilling out. Grab maybe a hoodie for the nighttime, a couple T-shirts for the daytime, or a cap. You get all that wonderful merchandise with our logos right now at the Ice Guys store. So check that on out. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night, and thank you to Ivan Demidov for delivering a bargain bin special of the night cash for us last night in Game 1 between Montreal and Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. We'll see if we can add to it tonight as we go west for Game 2 of the Western Conference Final. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, you mentioned how the Lions kind of blended up a little bit for the Colorado Avalanche. I'm going to go with Big Val Nichushkin to get a goal on that second line. You get him as high as plus 390 over at FanDuel. So that's my one bargain bin special for the night in Game 2. Val Nichushkin, anytime goal score, plus 390.
Scary thing about Big Val Nichushkin finally getting on the board, albeit in a loss in Game 1, is that usually when he gets one, the floodgates sometimes can open. We'll see if that is the case for Big Val tonight. Valerie Nichushkin, call on me, Valerie, for Alex with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin specials of the night, again, I got 2, 1 for each team. That's going to be the policy moving forward. Do I even have to say it anymore with who I picked for Vegas? Yes, Brett Howden again. We are not getting off this train. It's been too good. It's plus 320, the best price out there. We're not going to get the plus 300 or better much longer for Howden, I can tell, if he keeps scoring. So Brett Howden for Vegas one more time, plus 320. And for Colorado tonight, I am going to go with Arturi Lehkonen, who's moving up to the top line with Nate Dogg, along with Gabe Landeskog on that top line. They've had chemistry in the past. The price is very good. For someone getting top line minutes, to get plus 340 at BetMGM on Arturi Lehkonen, I think is really good. So Arturi Lehkonen for Colorado, plus 340, along with Brett Howden for Vegas, plus 320 for my bargain bin specials of the night. It's not my bargain bin special, but honorable mention to Ross Colton. Almost went with him for bargain bin, but I went with Lehkonen. I just like Lehkonen. That price at plus 340, him on the top line. Definitely a great price. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Give me Colorado to win within 60. I think, like you said, this is a spot where they bounce back at home, take care of business. They know what they have to do. And even with Cale Makar, they should be able to get the job done. So Avalanche, regulation money line, plus 100. That's my best bet for tonight.
Yeah, my bet's a Colorado bet too. I'm just going with a different type of bet. Pro Colorado tonight. I will go with that team total for the game. Over 3.5. Colorado team total over 3.5. Best price out there is plus 110, plus 105. So if you shop around, you can still get a plus price on that team total at various books. 5 goals for Colorado against Minnesota in the only other game following a game they lost in the playoffs. And I think you'll see that bounce back. If Carter Hart stands on his head and Vegas wins 3-1, 3-2, 4-2 again, so be it. Salute. Give them credit. Give the team credit. But I don't think it's happening. I think Colorado has shown enough this year that at home, they're not going to go down 2-0. This is like what I felt with OKC in the NBA the other night. So Colorado team total over 3.5, plus 110 for my best bet here for this Game 2 in the Western Conference Final for Friday night. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder that tomorrow, we've got Saturday at noon Eastern. We'll be with you as always, but it will be our only show this weekend. What we're going to do is we're going to do the preview of Game 2 in the East, Montreal, Carolina, and Game 3 of the Western Conference Final, which is Sunday between Colorado and Vegas. So we'll talk both of those games on the show tomorrow on Saturday. We'll have no show on Sunday, and we will be back with you, even though it's Memorial Day, and I know you'll get the barbecues cranked up, fireworks and get-togethers and all that. We'll still be with you on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. for another edition of the Ice Guys. So just a little programming alert there. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.